We are back. Golenbock University. I'm Ralph Tyko with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. I'm one of the three baseball Michiganers. Alan Blumkin is here. He's baseball Michiganer number 2. How are you, Alan?
Fine.
And, of course, the professor, Peter Golenbock. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Good. Let's stick to the topic tonight, the New York Mets. In real life, not in our memories, they are kind of hanging in there, surprisingly, having a decent week, and things may be settling down for them. They're getting some good pitching. In our memories, I want to take us back to Peter's terrific book called Amazing, and it's subtitled The Miraculous History of New York's Most Beloved Baseball Team by Peter Golenbock. And we've talked about this book. We've touched on it over the months that we've been doing this, over the year plus that we've been doing this. And I just wanted to, first, because you're in St. Pete, the Tampa Bay area, and Dwight Gooden, who has in recent years been struggling a little bit. I'm wondering if there's any update, how he's doing, if he's coming back, on a comeback trail, if you will.
Well, my son went to school with Dwight's daughters, and until he got into trouble with drugs, he was one of the great people of sports. I mean, it was funny. He was, in a way, something like Tiger Woods was before Tiger got in trouble with, I assume it was drugs. But this whole drug epidemic is really a terrible, terrible thing. And if you're prone, once you start taking drugs...
I think with Tiger it was a sex addiction.
Yeah, but right now they're talking about drugs. Right now they're talking about drugs.
Recovery drugs. I don't think they're recreational drugs.
No, that doesn't matter. Drugs are drugs. I think they're opioids, if you want to know the truth. But they're drugs. Some kind of drugs. Some pills that you're putting in your mouth that a lot of people are not putting into their mouths. And Dwight, when he started with the Mets, he was 19 years old. He was so fabulous that I used to take DVDs and film his games because he was so special. He seemed like he was going to be, Christy Mathewson or Walter Johnson. I mean, he was just sensational. In 1985, he won a ton of games. The Mets, I spent that season with the Mets, with Davey Johnson. We wrote a book together called Bats. So I got to spend a lot of time with all the players on the Mets, including Dwight, including Darryl Strawberry, including Keith Hernandez. And it was just very, very interesting to watch. Dwight Gooden was just a bright-eyed, intelligent, interesting guy to watch pitch like the best pitcher in baseball. He was just fantastic. And of course, in 1986, the Mets won the championship with Gooden and Strawberry and that gang. They were just fantastic. I mean, it's the team, I think. Lenny Dykstra was I believe his first year that year. It's a team that Mets fans still talk about because it was such a magical season.
Well, they talk about it for two reasons. It was such a magical season, and it in turn didn't turn out to be like the Yankee dynasties.
And there were reasons for it.
I think losing comes to mind. Losing Ray Knight and Mitchell, and we're not even talking about their statistics, because I think with a team, it's more than that. It's the clubhouse. It's the camaraderie. You're going to war with these guys, and all of a sudden, they're gone. Boom, right there. Not to say that Hojo wasn't great, and his numbers far out, exceeded what Knight's would have been, but more to baseball, as you know, Peter and Alan, than just stats. You could play, roll the dice. If it were just statistics, it's humans.
Right. Well, one thing that I've learned in watching baseball all these years, and you can see it with the Cubs right now, the most difficult thing in baseball is repeating as world champion, and for a lot of reasons. One reason, of course, is that after you win the championship, everybody wants you to come to their banquets, and you're the most famous person on earth. And you eat too much, maybe you drink too much, maybe you don't train like you used to train, maybe you've got it in your head that because we're champions, it's a piece of cake to be champions again. And the other part of it, if you look at it from the general manager point of view, I mean, being general manager has got to be the most difficult job on the planet. I mean, it's unbelievable. One general manager told me that if you make 10 trades, you're lucky if 2 of them work out really well, 2 of them work out really terribly, and 6 of them are a wash. Now, that's not very good odds. I mean, that's if you're doing well. And so general managers always want to get younger. The philosophy is that if I let my veteran players get too old, by the middle of the season, we're going to be a 500 ball club and we're going to be cooked. And I'm sure that was in the minds of the Mets GM when he decided to bring in younger players.
Right.
He also,
and this is Frank Cash.
After 1988, they had a very good year in 1988 and blew the
That's right.
to the Dodgers. And after 1988, Cashman decided to get rid of all the nut cases and build a team with choir boys. It didn't work out very well.
You're right. And one of the absolute stupidest deals that he made was trading Lenny Dykstra to the Philadelphia Phillies for, of all people, Juan Samuel.
It was a
and I think there was a pitcher that went with Lenny, was there not?
Roger McDowell went with Lenny.
Yeah, Roger McDowell, who's now a pitching coach. Roger McDowell went with Lenny in that terrible. It was one of the most terrible trades of all time. Lenny was a center fielder. Juan Samuel, if I'm not mistaken, was a second baseman.
Yeah, he struck out 160 times a year. He was a
and it was just nuts. And that
very well today. Yeah.
Yeah, that trade alone was enough to kill the Mets for the next 5 years. As Lenny, as you know, led Philadelphia to the World Series.
And they got when they traded Mitchell, they got back Kevin McReynolds, who was the last one in and the first one out.
Yeah,
clubhouse every day.
That's right. Yeah, he was just sort of a cancer in a way on that clubhouse. He was.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's not just the players' stats; it's their being.
That's why I hate Brian Kenny and the rest of these warheads, because they try to reduce everything to numbers. It doesn't work that way.
No, doesn't work out at all. I mean, if you look at baseball right now in the American League East, it's utterly, utterly fascinating. I mean, the Yankees got beat again. The Red Sox got beat again. The Rays were beat for the second time in a row by the Orioles because they don't have 2 relief pitchers who can get somebody out in the 7th and 8th inning, and because their closer gave up a couple of runs today. Toronto is losing. I mean, these are 5 really terrific teams who right now you don't know which one of these teams is possibly going to win the American
Orioles
League East.
Came off yesterday. They ended a 20-game streak of giving 5 runs or more up in games, which tied the record set by the 1924 Phillies. I heard this on the...
Isn't that amazing? I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Their pitching staff is
Tillman has ever done that.
Right.
Yeah.
Tillman pitched today for Baltimore against the Rays. Tillman had an ERA of 8.25.
Yeah, I saw that.
This is June 25th.
Yeah, I don't know what a guy like that is starting at this point in the season.
Because they don't have anybody else.
Don't have anybody else. Yeah, I know that. They have about the Jimenez is over 7.
Well, you want to talk about a pitching staff that's an enigma, and you don't know what's going on. The New York Yankee pitching staff. I mean, the Mets' injuries, but guys like Pineda got slonged again today.
Nothing.
No, right. I mean, CC Sabathia, who's making $28 million a year for the next 20 years, he's pretty well done. Pineda's a mystery.
Tanaka, you get one every 5 games.
Tanaka's got a busted arm. There's something wrong with him. I mean, there was something seriously wrong with Tanaka.
And they got this Sessa, who
I don't even know who the hell Sessa is, for crying out loud.
He's one of these shuttle pitchers from Scranton.
Yep.
They started 5 innings, and they were losing 4-1. They brought in Tyler Clippard, who Dwight is in love with, who held the Rangers to 4 runs in the 9th inning yesterday. Really put the game totally out of hand.
No.
Tyler Clippard has Met background as well.
This is his second tour with the Yankees.
Yeah. Well, what's really amazing about these relief pitchers today, we brought this kid Alvarado up from Double-A because we did not have any other lefty. We're talking about the Rays now. They didn't have any other lefty. And they put this guy in. He throws the ball 97 and 98 miles an hour and literally can't go out there without giving up a run. It is the strangest thing. You would think that if you threw the ball 97, 98 miles an hour, that the guys can't hit it. But it's not true. They rally against guys who hit 97 and 98.
They have no movement or location. They're going to get clobbered.
Yes, you've got to change speeds. You've got to have a second pitch. So, often you have to have a third pitch. It's really remarkable. Just remarkable.
Well, I think
very
part of the problem is they put up on the scoreboard the miles per hour, the pitch every time, and it's become like this macho thing with pitchers, like hitting home runs with batters to try to break 100 or get to 98 and this, that, and the other thing. I think that's the cause of the injuries, the extra push that you put on your body that just not used to. And
this is a problem, Ralph.
And it doesn't encourage.
That begins in high school.
Deception is the art of the game. Warren Spahn would say it. If you had a 90-mile-an-hour fastball and an off-speed pitch that was like 70, that's just as good as having a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and a 90-mile-an-hour off-speed pitch. It's better, as a matter of fact.
You think pitchers
until the scouts come your way and determine, oh boy, he's only throwing 88, and then they don't draft him because he's only throwing 88.
You think lefties like Whitey Ford or Bobby Shantz or Eddie Lopez or Harvey Haddix would be even looked at today?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think they would be looked at today. I don't. I mean, it is remarkable.
Size, first of all.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Juan said, hitting is timing, pitching is upsetting timing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. And right now, everybody seems to just want to throw the ball through a wall.
Yeah.
It's really something to see. And I'm sure these pitching coaches, most of them are marvelous, I'm sure this is something they're trying to drum into the head of these kids. But it's, these kids have had a certain mindset since they were in high school, which is to say, if I can throw 95, I can get into college. Or if I can throw 95, I can be drafted into the pros.
Right.
So, that's what got them there. And now they have to learn how to pitch. The ones who learn how to pitch, those are the ones who do well. But, I've watched a lot of pitchers in the last couple months, and there are not a lot of them.
Not a lot of great ones out there.
No, not a lot of great ones at all. Cleveland's got a great one. This kid Miller, he's certainly a great one. The Yankee closer is unbelievable. He throws the ball 102 miles an hour.
Cleveland's starting a pitcher named Tomlin, who he started today and lost again. He's 4-8 with an ERA of over 6. They still throw him out there before them.
Oh yeah.
When you're going to a 5-man rotation like they do now, you've got guys in there who basically are not major league pitchers.
Well, every team's got,
every team has their pitcher. The Pirates
has one of those guys. Their fifth starter.
The Pirates
the Devils
2-6 with a 5-something ERA. They're starting him tonight because he's in the rotation.
Well, the Mets are looking to go to a 6-man rotation.
Nah, nobody's going to go to 6-man.
The Red Star Homer Bailey, who was a perpetual DL resident yesterday, and he now has an ERA of 43.20.
Well, it's interesting. Some of these teams have so many injuries that they don't have much choice. I mean, it's remarkable. I mean, this is something we've talked about before, that the teams have no control over how these players work out. And so they work out in such a way that all they're interested in is strengthening themselves. So either they run as fast as they can or they can throw as fast as they can. And this leads for the everyday players pulling obliques.
Yeah.
Why does Chris Davis have a pulled oblique muscle? What the hell is that all about?
Well,
it's because he works out too much.
Yankee outfielder, Aaron Hicks had come out.
Aaron Hicks.
Oblique.
At the risk of repeating this quote, Dusty Baker said recently that he played in the big leagues for 15 years, never once went on the DL, and did not know what an oblique was. He never heard the term in all the years. So
look, my favorite is that Mickey Mantle in his entire career, and that lasted from 1951 to 1968, never lifted a weight. Not once. Ever lifted a weight. He had 536 home runs, for crying out loud. Never.
Hey, and you, of course, know that with all his injuries, he played in more games than any other Yankee in history.
Oh, yeah.
Henry Aaron broke his ankle in the last month of his rookie year. That's the only time he was ever on the DL.
Yeah, no question about it. No, I know it. But baseball is very, very, very interesting these days because of the speed of the pitchers, the lack of command of the relief pitchers, and the number of injuries that so many of these teams are suffering. It must be incredibly frustrating for the GM.
Relief pitchers, so much is made of the pitch count that we mentioned Warren Spahn before. At age 43, I think it was, or 42, he pitched the game, that famous game against Marichal. A book was written about it. He pitched like 230 pitches in that game.
No question. Robin Roberts was a close friend of mine. He lived here in St. Petersburg. Robin Roberts once, he told me in one game, I think he pitched a 16-inning game. He pitched the entire game himself. I think he won the game 1-0 through 256 pitches. But then again, also, you've got to remember, Robin Roberts,
at his peak,
Robin Roberts started in 48 or 49, before the advent of Little League. When my son was 7 years old, he started playing all-star Little League ball, and he would play 50, 60 games every year. He played 60 games every year, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, till he got to high school. High school was a little bit better, but then there were all-star teams that he played on also.
American Legion-type games.
American Legion-type ball, so that if you're a pitcher, at some point when you get to college, you're going to need Tommy John surgery. It's just the way it is. And that, quite frankly, is the reason why they do this pitch count thing. The other reason has to do with you were talking about sabermetrics. They have the statistics that say that when the starting pitcher goes through the lineup the first time, the other team hits, say, 185. And then when you go through the lineup the second time, the other team hits, say, 252. And the stat is that when you go through the third time, the other team hits 400. And I can tell you because the Tampa Bay Rays last year decided that their goal was to never let the starting pitcher pitch to the lineup a third time because of those numbers. And they burnt out that bullpen. They didn't have the bullpen.
You got to have the bullpen.
They burned out that bullpen. No, you cannot do that. I don't care if you have the best bullpen in the world. By the time July rolls around, all those relievers are going to be shot. And all of our relievers were shot because they were overused because they wouldn't let the starting pitchers go 7 and 8 innings. It was insane.
Yeah. Alan, you'll remember this, and I have a vague memory of Alvin Dark setting something up where he had 3 pitches going in one game. They pitched 3 innings each. Do you remember that in the late 50s,
I know that's
early
been
60s?
done several times. I know in one of the LCS games that the Pirates had in 1990 when Jim Leland was managing them against Cincinnati, they ran out of starting pitchers. They started a reliever in a game, ironically, that they won. They pitched 3 innings. They had relievers do that. Girardi did that in one game this year. He started.
Right.
He used they ran out of starting pitcher, and they used.
And we did that in Tampa Bay too this year, one game.
Yeah, it's been done, but it's not something that's
something you want to do often.
And one of the things is, like when they were out in the West Coast, the Yankees last week losing 4 straight to Oakland, Betances, their relief pitcher, they used him for 20 pitches in one game. And they wound up losing that game, and Betances was so overworked from throwing 20 pitches that in the next game, it went into extra innings or the bottom of the ninth. They brought in some bum.
That's what happened.
Holder, and he wound up losing the game, giving up 2 runs at the bottom. 2 runs at the bottom of the bottom of the 10th inning.
It's remarkable how many teams in baseball are having difficulty finding, when you've got 10 relievers in your staff, finding 2 guys who can get outs in the 7th and 8th inning.
Yeah. Well, also when your team's carrying 13 pitchers, which means in the American League you have 9 players in the batting order. That means you got a bench of 3.
Bench of 3.
Until we get to September, guys like Dusty Baker are out there for every batter. They're going tit for
when
tat.
they call up the rosters and expand it to 40, which is a policy that they've had for years, which to me is very, very bad. They play through August with 25-man rosters, and all of a sudden they expand them to 40.
Yep.
It means that they have more guys that they can play around with.
No question.
Yeah, but that worked well in the past. With the idea, you get to look at guys in a big league, game that counts, as opposed to just spring training. And
but they should do it. They should have a system where the manager, when they have the 40-man rosters, manager makes a list of the 25 men who are eligible for that game. Particular game or series or whatever.
Yeah, but that's not the way they do it.
No, that's not the way they do it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know.
So
anyhow, we were asking you about Gooden about a half an hour ago.
Yes, I want to know how these days how he's doing.
Well, I mean these days he's not around very much. He's kept a very, very low profile. They did a 30 by 30 piece on Gooden and Strawberry, and Strawberry's comment was a little bit unsettling. It really made Dwight kind of angry. Strawberry's settlement was, I'm worried about the guy. And so, I mean, part of the problem is that we do not see drug addiction as a disease. We see somehow drug addiction as some kind of moral failing. And, of course, that's been in this country the policy of throwing, drug, guys who have the disease in jail, which is about the worst thing you can possibly do to these people. And sometimes despite it all, you go for help and you go to halfway houses and you go to AA, and sometimes it takes 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 times of relapsing before you can finally, get yourself free of it. And quite frankly, there's some people who never get free of it. Never. Some people, they say, when you're a drug addict, you are always a drug addict, and that's just the way it is sometimes.
There's one thing I want to ask you. I've had this debate with people I know for years. Gooden had that incredible year in '85 when he was 24-4 to 153.
That's right.
A billion strikeouts. The next year, '86, he was 17-9, and there were stories going around that the powers that be tried to change his way of pitching because they were concerned about his pitch counts.
Boy, that's
and they wanted him to throw more ground balls and strikeouts, and the speculation.
Quite frankly, I can't believe that Davey Johnson would have allowed that. That's not. I was with him that whole year.
This is a thing that went around here for a number of years.
Yeah, I'm not telling you this.
In 1985, and that's one of the things that led to what happened, after the 1986 season.
No, I'm not telling you this with any knowledge, but knowing Davey, that doesn't make any sense.
All right.
Davey was somebody. Davey said that if you don't send this kid up, this was in '85. If you don't send this kid up, I quit. I mean, that's how much he wanted Gooden to come up as a 19-year-old and pitch for the Mets. And Davey watched this kid like a hawk. Davey was like a father to this kid. And I can't believe that Davey would have allowed anybody, including the pitching coach, to change his motion or do anything to him. I mean, that would just be nutty.
All right, I just went to the POV on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Just for pure talent, has any team, including the Yankees, had a pitcher and a hitter at one time come up, be young rookies with just unbelievable talent? Strawberry had as much talent coming up and as much potential as anyone, with that swing, with that left-handed power swing, and that grace that he had, and the great arm, and all of that. And Gooden, like you guys said, I mean, what was it? 24-3 or something? Some such ungodly thing. And as you took videos, it flashed through my head. Have you put those videos on new equipment, VCRs or whatever, Peter?
No, they sit in my drawer with the other DVDs.
Okay.
They sit in my videos of Animal House and my DVD videos of Trading Places, and they're just sitting there.
Yeah,
they're sitting next to my 8-tracks. Actually, they're sitting next to my 8-tracks. Yeah, I'm waiting for the 8-tracks to come back.
Yes, and they very well might. Vinyl has made a big comeback.
Vinyl has made its way back, yes.
Yeah. Peter,
my 8-tracks, I'm still waiting.
Stephen First, who played Flounder, passed away last week.
Who did?
Stephen First.
Oh, no.
Flounder and Animal House.
No. Oh,
yeah,
that's terrible.
They said it was complications of diabetes.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. Still the greatest movie. The two of them, The Godfather and Animal House, the two greatest movies ever made.
Right.
Yeah, I went to Dartmouth, and one of the three guys who wrote Animal House.
Movie with Rodney Dangerfield, the golf movie
that too. That was a great movie too. Yes.
And I think we both agree Major League was absolutely
stunning,
terrific.
Major League, both Major League movies were stunning. They really were.
Yes,
they really were.
All right, gentlemen, this has been
fun
as
Ralph.
usual.
It is.
And,
Alan, take care. Have a wonderful week.
Yeah, I'll be back Sunday.
And
I'll be
root on your prospective teams. Take care.
Okay.
Good. You can tell us about the Sabre meeting on next Sunday.
Yeah, Ralph. From what I understand, Bill Hall is going to be there, and I'd love to do a podcast with him and you on Pete Reiser.
Oh, I'd love. Well, do that podcast on Pete Reiser on the Dodger Show.
Yeah.
with Peter Trunk and Ronnie Rabinovich.
Okay, because I think Bill and I could do a real good job on that.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening.
Okay.
And be good. Keep on keeping on.
Okay.
Adios, everybody.
Bye-bye.